A wall can heat your home for free. No electricity, no natural gas, no propane, no moving parts, no maintenance. Just sunlight, concrete, and a pane of glass. Peer-reviewed research confirms this system can supply 30 to 70% of a building's heating needs. That is not a typo, 30 to 70%. The average American household spends over $2,000 a year on heating and cooling. That money feeds an industry worth over $100 billion annually. An industry that has zero financial incentive to tell you that a concrete wall and a sheet of glass can replace their equipment for free, forever. This wall design was formalized in 1967. It was tested, it was proven, it was published, and then it was quietly buried. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly how this system works. You will understand the physics behind it. You will understand why it vanished from mainstream construction, and you will know how to build one yourself. Welcome to the channel. This is where we find the things that were hidden. Not by conspiracy, not by shadowy committees, by something far more effective. Silence. Profitable silence. Every video on this channel exists because someone, somewhere, decided that practical knowledge was less important than quarterly earnings. If that matters to you, subscribe, because the algorithm does not promote what the industry does not sell. Now let me take you back, not decades, millennia. The ancestral Puebloan people of the American Southwest figured this out over 1,000 years ago. They built thick adobe walls facing the sun. Those walls absorbed heat during the day. They released it at night. No engineering degree required. Just observation, just survival. Across the Atlantic, North African communities built rammed earth structures that did the same thing. Massive thermal mass walls oriented to capture solar radiation. In the Middle East, mud brick construction followed identical principles. Persian wind towers combined thermal mass with passive ventilation to cool buildings in brutal desert heat. These civilizations had no contact with each other. They developed the same solution independently, because the physics do not change based on geography. Heat moves through mass slowly. Dense material absorbs energy and releases it later. That is not cultural wisdom. That is thermodynamics. Now fast forward to 1967. A French engineer named Félix Trombe and an architect named Trombe Michel built experimental houses in Odeyo in the French Pyrenees. Cold mountain climate, snow on the ground. They constructed south-facing concrete walls. They painted them dark. They placed glass panels a few inches in front of the wall. When the sun hit the glass trapped heat in the air gap. The wall absorbed that heat slowly. Hours later, the interior side of the wall began to warm. The houses stayed comfortable through freezing mountain nights. No furnace, no boiler, no fuel delivery. Trombe and Michel published their results. The data was clear. The system worked. Then came 1973, the oil embargo. Suddenly, the United States government cared about energy independence. The Department of Energy funded passive solar research throughout the 1970s. Trombe walls were studied, built, monitored, and validated. Technical manuals were published. Federal money flowed into alternatives. The principle was proven. The houses worked. Then the funding disappeared. By the early 1980s, oil prices stabilized. Federal research dollars dried up. The passive solar program was gutted, not because the science failed, because the crisis passed. And when the crisis passed, the industry that profits from mechanical heating and cooling reasserted control over building standards, curricula, and codes. Now, I have been researching topics like this for years. What I share in these videos is the surface. Behind every video is a body of research that goes far deeper than any single script can cover. That is why we created the Vault. The Vault is our research archive. It covers categories you will not find in a single YouTube search. Forgotten building techniques, suppressed material science, historical patents that disappeared, energy systems that were defunded. Each entry is sourced, cited, and built for people who want to go further. No fluff, no filler. Link is in the description. But stay here, because the science I am about to explain is what proves this is not theoretical. Here is how a Trombe wall actually works. 3 mechanisms, not 1. 3. The first is radiation. Sunlight passes through the glass and strikes the dark painted wall surface. That dark coating absorbs solar radiation and converts it to heat. The glass acts like a greenhouse. It lets shortwave solar radiation in, but it blocks the long-wave infrared radiation the wall emits back. Heat is trapped in the air gap between the glass and the wall. This is the same greenhouse effect that warms your car on a sunny winter day. The glass is doing real work here. The second mechanism is conduction. That trapped heat does not stay on the wall's surface. It migrates through the wall, slowly. A 12-inch concrete wall creates a thermal lag of 8 to 10 hours. Read that again, 8 to 10 hours. The sun hits the wall at 10 in the morning. The wall collects energy until roughly 3 in the afternoon. That heat begins reaching the interior side of the wall around 6 in the evening. It continues radiating into the room until 1 in the morning. The wall delivers heat precisely when you need it most. After dark, when temperatures drop. When conventional solar panels produce nothing. This is time-shifted heating. The wall is a thermal battery. It charges during the day, it discharges at night, no lithium, no cobalt, no inverter, no degradation curve. Concrete. The third mechanism is convection. Vents cut into the top and bottom of the wall create a thermosiphon loop. As the air in the gap heats up, it rises and flows through the upper vent into the room. Cooler room air is drawn in through the lower vent to replace it. A passive circulation loop. No fan, no ductwork, no electricity. The air moves because hot air rises. That is it. Now here's what makes this elegant. In summer, you reverse the vents. You open the upper exterior vent and close the interior ones. Hot air in the gap, vents outside. It pulls cooler interior air along with it. The wall becomes a passive cooling system. And if you design the roof overhang correctly based on your latitude and the seasonal solar angle, the summer sun never even hits the wall directly. The overhang shades the wall in summer. The lower winter sun passes under the overhang and strikes the wall fully. The system self-regulates based on geometry. No thermostat, no programming, no seasonal adjustment. Just an overhang cut to the right angle. University research confirms all of this. Computational modeling studies have optimized wall thickness, air gap width, vent ratios, and glazing type across different climate zones. The performance data consistently shows 30 to 70% heating contribution in appropriate climates. The variation depends on latitude, cloud cover, wall orientation, and insulation. But the thermodynamics are not in question. They never were. So if the science is this solid, why is this not in every house? Here's where you need to follow the money. The United States HVAC industry generates over $100 billion annually. That includes manufacturing, installation, maintenance, service contracts, refrigerant supply, filter replacements, emergency repair calls, and annual inspections. Every home with a furnace is a recurring revenue stream. Every air conditioning unit is a service contract waiting to happen. Every heat pump is a $10,000 to $25,000 installation. A Trombe wall generates none of that revenue. None. You cannot sell it as a unit. You cannot finance it through a dealer network. You cannot lease it. You cannot bundle it with a service plan. You cannot sell replacement filters for it. You cannot charge for annual refrigerant top-offs. It is concrete, glass, and dark paint. There is no proprietary technology. There is no patent to protect. There is no brand to franchise. It is the absence of a product. And you cannot build a $100 billion industry around the absence of a product. Now look at building codes. Most energy codes in the United States are prescriptive. They focus on R value. R value measures resistance to heat flow. Insulation has high R value. Concrete has low R value. Under prescriptive code, a Trombe wall looks like a terrible wall because the code does not account for thermal capacitance. It does not account for the wall's ability to store heat and release it later. It measures how well the wall resists heat transfer. Or not how well it manages heat transfer over time. That is like judging a battery by how well it blocks electricity. Performance-based code paths do exist. They can credit thermal mass, but they require energy modeling, professional engineering analysis, and additional compliance documentation. The prescriptive path is easy. The performance path is expensive and complicated. Guess which one builders choose. Now look at education. When was the last time you heard an architecture student talk about thermal mass design? When was the last time a building science curriculum spent a full module on passive solar heating? These topics were active in the 1970s. They were taught, they were funded, they were part of the conversation. Then the funding dried up, the faculty retired, the textbooks were revised, not censored, just not reprinted, not updated, not assigned. The knowledge did not get banned, it got deprioritized. And in a market-driven education system, deprioritized means invisible. When was the last time an HVAC company told you about a wall that eliminates the need for their equipment? You already know the answer. If you're finding value in this, take 3 seconds. Hit subscribe. Share this video with one person who pays a heating bill. That is how this information survives. Not through advertising budgets, through you. The link to the vault is below, but stay here, because what comes next is just as important. Now, in the interest of honesty, here is what this system cannot do. A Trombe wall works best in cold, sunny climates, high altitude, clear skies, strong winter sun. If you live in the Pacific Northwest, where winter means weeks of overcast skies, a Trombe wall will underperform significantly. Cloud cover reduces solar gain. No sun means no charge. Overheating is a real risk. Without a properly designed overhang, a south-facing thermal mass wall in summer will cook your interior. Shading is not optional. It is structural. Aesthetics are a challenge. A massive dark wall with glass panels on the south face of your house does not look like a suburban home. Homeowners associations will have opinions. Your neighbors might too. Structural weight matters. A 10 to 12-inch concrete wall is heavy. Your foundation needs to support it. This is not a retrofit you add to a stick frame house without engineering analysis. Glazing maintenance is real. The glass panels need to remain sealed and clean. Condensation in the air gap reduces performance. Foam seals degrade over decades. Long-term glazing durability data is honestly limited. And here is the most important limitation. In most climates, a Trombe wall alone will not heat your entire home. Supplemental heating is usually necessary. 30 to 70% is extraordinary. But it is not 100%. These are real limitations. But notice something. Every single one of them is a design problem, not a physics problem. The thermodynamics are not in question. Cloud cover is a site selection variable. Overheating is an overhang calculation. Aesthetics are an architectural decision. Weight is a foundation specification. Glazing is a material choice. None of these limitations mean the system does not work. They mean the system requires competent design. Like every other building system in existence, here is how to build one. Or 5 steps, each one specific, each one achievable. Step 1, orientation. Your wall must face true south, not magnetic south, true south. You have a 15-degree tolerance in either direction before performance degrades meaningfully. Use a solar path calculator for your latitude. Free tools exist online. This determines everything else. Get this wrong and nothing that follows matters. Step 2, wall construction. You have material options: poured concrete, concrete masonry units, rammed earth, dense stone. The optimum thickness for concrete is 10 to 12 inches. Thinner walls cycle heat too quickly. Thicker walls lag too long. 10 to 12 inches gives you that 8 to 10 hour delay that aligns solar collection with evening heating demand. The exterior face of the wall gets a matte black coating, not gloss, matte. Matte surfaces absorb more radiation. Gloss reflects it. This coating is the solar collector, dark paint. That is your solar panel. Step 3. Glazing installation. Mount tempered glass 2 to 6 inches from the wall's exterior face. That air gap is critical. Too narrow and convection is suppressed. Too wide and heat loss to the glass increases. 4 inches is a reliable starting point for most climates. Double pane or low emissivity glass improves performance by reducing heat loss back through the glazing. The glass must be sealed at the edges but allow for thermal expansion. Weep holes at the bottom prevent moisture accumulation. Step 4. Venting. Cut vents into the top and bottom of the wall. Total vent area should equal 1 to 2% of the wall's total surface area. Install operable dampers. In winter, open interior vents so the thermosiphon loop heats your rooms directly. In summer, close interior vents, open exterior upper vents, and let the chimney effect exhaust hot air outside. The dampers are the only moving parts in the entire system, and you move them by hand twice a year. Step 5, overhang design. This is your seasonal regulator. The overhang must block direct sun from hitting the wall during summer months while allowing full exposure in winter. The geometry depends on your latitude. At 40 degrees north latitude, the summer sun angle is roughly 73 degrees. The winter sun angle is roughly 27 degrees. Solar angle calculators will give you the exact overhang depth for your location. This is middle school geometry applied to building science. The Earthship community in Taos, New Mexico, has been living with thermal mass construction for decades. These homes use south-facing glazing backed by massive earth-bermed walls. Residents report comfortable interior temperatures year-round with minimal or no supplemental heating in a climate that drops well below freezing in winter. Off-grid builders across the Mountain West have adopted Trombe wall principles in cabins, workshops, and homes. In the Himalayas and the Andes, international development organizations have deployed Trombe wall designs in high-altitude communities, where fuel is scarce and winter temperatures are brutal. These are not theoretical applications. These are people heating their homes right now with walls. Step back and look at what you have just learned. 1,000 years ago, people in the American Southwest built adobe walls that stored the sun's heat and released it after dark. In 1967, a French engineer and an architect proved the same principle in the frozen Pyrenees and published the data. In the 1970s, the United States government funded the research and confirmed it worked. In the 1980s, the funding was cut. The textbooks were not reprinted. The codes were not updated. And a $100 billion industry continued selling machines to do what a wall does for free. The fuel is sunlight. The machinery is geometry and mass. The operating cost is zero. The maintenance is almost zero. The moving parts are zero. And the reason you have never heard of it is not because it was banned. It was not suppressed by legislation. No government agency classified it. No corporation filed an injunction. It was simply made invisible, removed from curricula, omitted from codes, absent from advertising, left out of the conversation. The most effective suppression is not a ban. It is silence. Energy costs are rising. The grid is fragile. Supply chains are vulnerable. A building system that requires no external input no fuel delivery, no electrical connection, and no mechanical maintenance, is not a curiosity from the 1970s. It is one of the most relevant technologies available today. And the question is not whether it works. 60 years of research says it works. The question is why you were never told about it. Now you have been told. Share this video with someone who deserves to know. The next video in the vault covers a water purification method used by 3 ancient civilizations on 3 continents. Same pattern, proven, published, buried. Link is in the description. The knowledge is free. What you do with it is up to you.